Meeting you in the love and the light of the one infinite creator. We're here for part two of episode 3 of the Moonas Magica podcast. We have yet to found a theme song. We have yet to found a cool intro.
Yeah.
This is very raw and uncut. I even got my brother Rosie with his shirt off. And no, he is not anorexic. Look at that. Look at that pack right there going on. Like it's going. So yeah, brother was flowing on the relation, fasting, and tensor tech. Let's go, baby. Woo!
All right. So yeah, man. I guess looking back at it, kind of in a little bit of retrospect or hindsight, um, you know, without maybe consciously knowing it, when I was taking the step about 2 years ago to really 2 or 3 years, whatever, time, whatever. But when I was taking that step to really take better care of my health and um, as I was putting that intention in that prayer and creating that within myself and in my environment, I feel like that was kind of a stepping stone to later on down the road when I started finding Tensor, right? And, or should I say, Tensor kind of came to me.
Mm.
And as I started working with it, and again going through the process, there's obviously times where I'm a little skeptical, and I'm kind of waiting for that one experience that really starts to shift things or my perspective. And I had a few of them, like I had a few where I got to like actually watch myself like actually cloud bust and like actually see the spirals in the clouds as they form and completely just transmute. That stuff is really cool, and obviously using them with like plants and seeing how plants like grow and all that good stuff. But I'd say when things really started really being a bit eye-opening was I started having a lot of like dreams about them, like just very randomly, just like I would wake up, like I would be going to sleep and I'd be dead tired, but I'd only get 30 minutes of sleep and I'd wake up fully energized. But I would have like had a vision, a dream, whatever you want to call it, about, a harmonizer that I had just created or a harmonizer that I want to create. Um, and I would just literally just I was seeing like the energetic properties of this harmonizer. And I saw like this golden white light, and the whole toroidal vortex kind of Merkaba whole deal kind of like mixing together. And but like, and like that was when for some reason, like, to have that very specific dream was it started leading me to like really philosophize about these tools, because now there was a clear embedded photo image that I'll never forget of what this tech is and what it's doing. And so yeah, that led me to really just start to think about the tech more. And one of the things that I like to say now is that it's kind of like, the way I like to think at them is that it's almost like a portal or a vessel or a channel for a certain level of consciousness
Yeah.
to be present in that space. And then, even though it's happening all the time, it's up to the person with the tool to tap into that space and to interact with it more. And, as I started building that intimate relationship through the creative process, is, kind of where I feel like I was building that intimacy with myself and doing that, the quote unquote shadow work that people talk about. And, going through some really crazy death and rebirth cycles. And I feel like that's what really started leading me towards fasting again.
Mm,
And really like, and this was a lot of this was really going on during this winter. And that is when, coming in this like end of winter, coming into spring here, is really when, right, I started getting into the fasting a lot more. And yeah, like that's, I guess that's kind of a little bit of a correlation between the two. I kind of wanted to tie them in together.
yeah.
Um, you
That's
got anything on that?
that's incredible, brother. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah, it feels so good. Feels so good that we're here. We're sharing our experience with this technology and how it relates to all aspects of life, aka
Yeah,
consciousness, because
yeah,
this technology, Moonas Magica, is it's a channel for consciousness evolution of positive nature. That's the bottom line. And it's interesting that anybody that even resonates or, like gets the technology from me or from us, they're they're having an experience of life that is gravitating towards a spiritual awakening in a positive way. And there's a magic that is actually embedded within the consciousness of tensor technology that is of more angelic nature, in the way that um, beings that are waking up to who they really are interested in this technology, whether it's simply just wearing it, having it on them as a reminder of their real self.
yeah,
But things like, I was talking about this in a prior episode, like people that are now seeing synchronicities and seeing angel numbers, they're the people that are want to wear a ring. And also I see that every day to me is a synchronicity, but actually I've like every moment is divinity beyond synchronicity. So my realization of life uh, is that nothing can be out of sync, because the only thing that's saying that something can be out of sync is a passing thought. And if you simply just rest in the silence or the Moona, uh, then you will realize that you exist without thinking. So who are you then? Oh, if I'm not my thoughts, wait, that doesn't mean that I'm that, or I'm not that trauma, or, but it's like the
yeah,
healing process is the purification rising in the violet flame, or as Brother G saying, the divine flame. Um, the I am
brother.
presence is ever available to us, and in fact, actually is consciousness itself. And residing in this state of consciousness, I am of service to creation, as all beings are. But it's how you're serving and where you're channeling your energy into, that with each thought, with each action, this is what is slowly but surely changing our world, and actually instantaneously shifting the earth. Because the minute that all of the beings are waking up to the true nature, is we're not going to allow for how the negatively polarized beings uh, looch off the domination, enslavement, control, manipulation. And hey, these are all aspects of the ego consciousness when you start to tap into the mechanism of the ego. But and that's just the way it is. It's like at the root,
Right.
I see that all beings are innocent, because, as I was saying earlier on in the episode, is at the sixth density, these beings have to turn their ass around and admit that they they can't go any further. And then, hey, all the angels are there. Oh, hey, brother, hey, sister, look at how much you've suffered. we've been free for uh 3 billion years, residing in free energy, um, residing in unity consciousness, having access to every single planetary civilization, going up and like meeting the council, and like going and having conversation, and it just becomes this, that there's a reason why this is called cosmic consciousness, is because that's indeed what happens when you graduate from uh, this plane of existence, which is, you might want to come back to a planet that needs some help, which is in fact what is happening on this plane, is that there's a lot of awakened souls that come from quote unquote higher dimensions or densities. In reality, there is no high nor low, but coming to serve and to, I really feel like, to be honest, brother, is a lot of beings that make tensor technology are actually of this nature. They're beings that are from a higher density, that uh, are kind of like dropping these little codes here and there, making these and saying that this is creating a big tor oh we here we go, baby. This is creating a torus field of divine light that is bringing vitality and positive life force energy to all beings within its field, and they have pretty wild ranges. And yeah, just riffing off really life and love, is that um this this technology is divine, um and it's working on the subtle energetics, which actually is everything. Like when you wake up to the subtleties of life, it's the field, it's the silent field that is what we are. And I mean, with the water structuring, like we can tap into a little bit, because that's usually the first aspect that
Mm,
I will share with a brother or a sister that gets the technology. One thing is the harmonization. I like that rather than the word protection, because it's like in
right,
that word protection, it's like, to whom like do we have to defend against, or like is somebody attacking, like I gotta protect myself. That's still of like a contracting nature. So rather we can even transcend that and be like the harmonization of these fields of energy, that I know for a fact that this technology is in the realm of the real. And how I know that is because I am the real self. And therefore, the real self will indeed resonate with the real technology. It's just a fact of life. It's not that hard, but the ego is going to make it this big thing of like, oh, you got to show me the proof, brother. Well, okay. Well, I will show you the proof. And do the water testing, and the water structuring is a great way to show the proof
yes.
of the vortex, the freeze test. Um, this is a really cool way to see that because what this the scalar energy, it transcends space and time, correct? Like it's faster than the speed of light. Um, which is in this, I've been tapping into, I've seen it around recently, that that's how like the water will structure. But let's tap in about that. Like maybe you want to share about like your connection with the rings and water, and not just yours but people that you've had experience with, and how the water is a gateway, and because they work so synchronistically with the rings. So what do you want to share about water in the tensor technology?
Wow, man, water is an interesting one because there are many beings that will say that water is of, if not some of the most highest consciousness in the physical form.
Hmm.
Uh, just down to its molecular structure and the way it organizes itself. Um, it's Wow, yeah, the water is really amazing because there's a few things, man. The freeze test is huge. You know, I think that's a really great way for anybody to really get some substantial visualization of what's
Absolutely.
happening.
Yeah.
And when you take and you freeze that water with a ring around it and you see that spiral and that spiral out, it's always spiraling up and out. Like, and if you can observe that and even understand it to a very simple level, it's like you can, when you're placing that ring in nature, or, you know, you're putting it in a river, or you're having it around the water that you're drinking, you know, you're putting that prayer there, right? That self-organization. Um, you got to think of, at some point there's a little bit of introspection of like, okay, well, if that's what's happening to the water and I'm putting that inside of me, or just I have the ring on me and I'm already what, 80-90% water, whatever they say, um that is constantly happening within us. And it's that spiral, it's that energetic spiral. You know, they heard it called like the Ormus spiral or whatever. um it's through that self-organization, that anything that is in not that's not in harmony or resonance with the expansion, with self-love, anything that is not that is leaving, because it cannot operate in that same space.
Facts.
So like, i I don't know, I think that's probably the most beautiful thing that I can say about this with the water.
Mm.
I've always It's very interesting. I've always felt called that whenever I am gifting rings and things of that nature, I'm like always feel very called to just throw it in a stream or any type of
Yeah.
water source, because
Yeah.
I just intuitively, I
Facts.
just feel that there's that real connection.
Absolutely, brother. The even tossing a Triskelion in the stream, you know, like there's something special about that. I kind of visualize like, you know, even just throwing a little ring like this, because water, like if you see a water is a being, like a pond is its own being, right? That's why we give them names. Like we call this body of water like Lake Superior or Lake
Mm,
Ontario. Like these are conscious beings that are so extremely powerful. And I really feel by just, you know, boom, prayer, throwing it in the pond or the lake, that whole
yeah,
the water will communicate with itself, even if it's like in a sense an ocean. Like
yeah,
it will light it up. That's a cool visualization of like, yeah, throwing it in and then seeing the body of water light up. But yeah, the water I've been structuring water with my mind recently, as I'm gonna begin to get into telekinesis. And so,
beautiful.
yeah, so that's the next step for me. But I realized that fasting and eating clean is an important part, and to really stop self-sabotaging in really subtle ways that I have in the past. Because I do come from a, you know, a little bit of years of trauma. So, you know, like body trauma, mind trauma, spiritual trauma, which a lot of us have that same story, you know, and I think it's actually part of the design of this incarnation. Um, but anyways, um, yeah, like I've been, you know, just holding, like I got some water here, right? And this is a way that we can structure the water, and this is without the ring. But if you want to like I can just like I made these lost qubit finger rings, you know, just this little beam of light right here on whoops on the top. And then I'm gonna grab my hands and remember that you are love light, right? Like that's our nature. So immediately these hands right here are blasting out light. And if you actually can understand the power of your hands, right. um,
Love.
and focus all of your attention, your energy, your awareness on the water, and literally with your mind, you don't even have to speak it, invoke words, and also the feeling is very important
uh,
from the heart center,
yeah.
because the words are only words. The combination of feeling is very important, and it's like even in like Dr. Joe, you know, teachings, like what he really teaches is to feel gratitude. Like at the root of Dr. Joe teachings, it's like get out of your head and feel gratitude for this now moment. Like become the field. Well, you can't become what you already are. You can only be that. So just be as you are and know your power. And then you can structure the water. And so that's one cool way. Um, but yeah, so the water's interesting. Let's tap in about harmonizers. Let's go. I think we probably have like 15 minutes, so um, I'll spark it off, and then I'll keep it short because I want you to share about your experience with the harmonizers. But you've been making some big ones. This right here is, I believe, a 12 ring, 333 megahertz. I call it the etheric earth core energizer harmonizer. So the 333 megahertz qubit was originally called the earth core qubit. Um, and yeah, I mean, this one's powerful. This one somebody purchased, I think yesterday, and I'm going to send it out to them, give it some extra love. But yeah, all these are super unique. And so when I saw the harmonizer a couple years ago, something in me was like, wow, like, and actually, uh, you know, I was with this brother Randy, who you know, makes these water vortexing fountains. I don't know if you saw that, but I was up in New Mexico with him, and
Yeah.
he was like just kind of casually sharing about how it's like Atlantean technology, and how he like remembers like harmonizers were around during Atlantis, right? Like this is back, you know, this is and it truly is like this is back for the beginning of a new earth, aka Atlantis 2.0. But hey, don't forget who you are through all this. I would say, just a side note, don't get too, as we're talking about this technology and these harmonizers, okay, like remember that they're aspects of our being, they're manifestations of divine love. But I feel like Atlantis, the beings there got too caught up in the technology, and then they over
Mm-mm.
they overlooked the heart, the transcendence of the ego, which is the real highest technology. So that's a side note for us. Like, you know, we're talking about this tensor tech, and we just have to remain in the center and never put our power on, you know, that this technology is gonna like save us or whatever, because I really feel like that's how Atlantis ended up falling to the extreme of I
Yeah.
don't even know what happened. But yeah, if you want to tap in on harmonizers, share your experience with them.
So I think you made a very, very beautiful point there at the end where it's like, and I was even kind of falling into that trap myself a little bit, maybe like a year ago,
Mm,
where it was like I was almost putting, like, I was letting the mind run about all the ideas and the potential of the technology, and forgetting about that I am the real technology. My vessel is the technology. My heart is the technology. That's where it all stems from. And the technology is more so like a reflection of that, and it's more so like a physical manifestation or prayer of the heart of that which is. And that's one thing that I love about this piece here,
Mm.
is that
Can you share a
it
little
was
bit more
specifically,
details, brother? Can you?
yeah, so this is a Hylige qubit and the new Earth core qubit. I felt like they were, I I just I got the Hylige one like about a month ago, or maybe a little bit longer than that. Um and it is supposed to be the energetics of the saints.
Mm.
So I just felt like the energies, like they were just very peaceful and very just vibey, like very earthy. So I felt like they made a very good mix, and the intention behind it was that it is a reflection of that which I am.
Mm.
Its form, its shape is a harmonizer. It's a harmonizer that kind of had a baby with a Merkaba. So it is the merging of the two fields. It is that which is. And the energetics, the qubits, are a reflection of that as well, of peace and love and the heart space, and all of that stuff. It's really funny. I was creating that not only while I was really having a lot of introspection within about the intimacy with my own heart and my own electromagnetic field, um, and that kind of part of rediscovering myself. Um, but also, like, I was doing a lot of studying on like Ken Wheeler. You've probably heard of him. Learning about, listening to him kind of explain the whole dielectric plane of inertia, and how I'm kind of correlating that with the earth and electromagnetics, the heart.
Mhm.
But anyways, yeah, like every time I wake up or I come into my truck and I get to look at this harmonizer here, and it's like instantly, the second that I observe it, like I am immediately just in remembrance of whatever type of state of consciousness I'm in that very present moment. I'm instantly reminded and brought back to the awareness of myself. And it's like it's like a very beautiful, intimate thing for me, because yeah, it's just like I get to take a deep breath and just remember that, everything is, all good. So
Wow.
um but yeah, to go a little bit more with the harmonizers, yes, I have been making some pretty crazy ones recently. I've taken a little bit of break, as I do, to really do some integration, and things of that nature. Um, I made that really big one, like it's like a foot and a half tall.
What?
Um, I It was amazing, right? Because my aunt had come over um a couple of months ago, and she saw some of my tech, and she was like, well, like, and I instantly knew she was interested. And so she was like, oh, I want like this really cool art piece type of deal, like make me one. I understand the energetics to a degree, whatever. So
Okay.
I was like, oh, and she told me she wanted a big one, but she wanted to put it outside, right? And I was like, I was very like encouraging of that, because I was like, hey, this is like, we're talking about some potency here. Like, you might not want this in the house all the time if you're not ready for it. But
True.
she wanted it outside anyways. But it's very interesting how, and I also, around the same time, I gifted two other pieces, two other harmonized, well, a harmonizer and a Merkaba generator. I gifted them at two lakes. There's an army depot like 30 minutes north of me that I found a couple months ago. And they have like those big 100, 200 foot dome, like those like Nexrad generators or whatever, those frequency towers.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I agreed. lakes, and I put that big harmonizer up at my aunt's. Um, we had like some in like it was still snowing at the time. It stopped snowing, and we just had like straight rainfall for like a week or two. Um, and like just during that time, like I was really like every time I was stepping out into nature more and more, like it was like I was intuitively really connecting with the devices and what was happening with the earth and with this, with this area, because like you were touching on earlier, these devices have a pretty potent range. And even when they aren't being amplified by the slim Sperling tapes or any other external frequencies, um, they are really, really amplifying a very large part of the grid. And I just like, I just felt this overall ease in just the whole environment that I'm in. Um, and even more of a call, even more of a push to want to connect more with the land and be in nature and understanding, um, and raising and bringing my awareness into what is going on and what we're doing. Or should I say, just being, It doesn't always have to be doing, it's just being.
Mm.
So, yeah, a little bit on that.
Wow, thank you, thank you. Okay, amazing. Um, we've got a few minutes here, so I will I'll share a few minutes about the harmonizer, and then we'll wrap it up. So yeah, I've probably made like maybe like around like 300 250 300 in the past like 2 years. And yeah, I mean, it's just what I was called to do, right? I've slowed down a little bit because I have like phases, but um they're out. Like it's like they're out and
They're
about beaming, like that's
the
just
dialect out here.
dielectric disco balls, brother. Like they're beaming, and I can't really explain how that happened. It just happened where I focused all of my energy on creating harmonizers for a while, and I would still make rings, but yeah, the harmonizers are so special because of the fact that they're they're expanding the column of the ring into a torus that has, like, we're talking ranges of like the cosmic wash tub Slim was saying
Out.
reaches about 4,000 K. And that's
Yes.
that's not even that big, right? Like the cosmic wash tub, like, yeah, they're full size qubits, and that's with the environmental clearing tape. But I'm pretty sure that's what, actually, I don't know if that's a fact, but when Slim went and cleaned up the Denver air pollution,
Hmm.
I don't know what harmonizers he was utilizing, but that's not really the point. The point is that, I mean, what's the range of a city, right? Like cities are not that big. Maybe they're like what, 50 kilometers long at most. Like, so you plant,
Right.
yeah, and I've been in the city, so I know for a fact that I'm doing something positive to the field. As for also like going around planting orgone earth pipes in like really potent vortexes of the city, for instance, like the city of Toronto, there's something called the CN Tower, and I went and like plopped an earth pipe down there, and in a sense, like with the intention of transmuting the old world, you know, and like seeing the vision of new earth. And like this is deep, brother. Like this goes deep. And even with gifting and sharing, like the last thing I'll say before we close off is the way that I've been able to share love through this technology. Just
That's
running into a friend on the street and say, "Oh, I have a bag of tech on me," giving them a ring and having a conversation about awakening and healing and love, and saying, "Take this with you. This is going to benefit you." And there's that mystique and that magic about these rings that it's beyond, like it's just what we do. It's just like we give them away. Like uh we give them away. And because I always like to, like, this is yours, like see the abundance of who you are, you know, like this level of consciousness, like transmitting that through the ring, but the ring as the object and the manifestation of this consciousness of divine love and reality and spiritual reality and unity. And um so yeah, this is here and now. We move forward. And yeah, I'm super grateful for you, my brother, for tapping in and for sharing the light codes. If you want to share, like if you feel that you want to share about where people can like message you, or whether it's email or Instagram, if they want to like if see your process of making the tech, or message you about anything that they resonated with, if you want to share that info, then now's the time.
yeah. Sure. I mean, I guess I'm really not too big on the social medias these days, but um, y'all can find me at it's gonna be Rosie Rozie dot 369 on Instagram, and yeah, I guess we can keep it to that for now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Cheers, brother. Cheers. Yeah, I
uh,
feel you. Yeah, eventually we'll be off it all. So I mean, but as we're here, if people do want to get in touch, I always love to offer that. So, but just
absolutely.
your presence and sharing your experience, you know. So
Hmm.
yeah, I'm gonna end it off with leaving you in the love and the light of the one infinite creator. May all beings realize that they are consciousness itself. And new earth now, baby. New earth now. We'll be in touch, brother.
Absolutely, brother. It's a pleasure, and I'm really thankful for this. And yeah, I'm like you're an inspiration to a lot of people, man.
Mm.
And yeah, the intention and the prayer of the heart space that you share is priceless, and everything that you share and codes along with it. So yeah, I love to see it, man. It's fucking beauty.
Thank you, brother. Love, love
Absolutely,
that.
man.
Yeah, yeah. We'll be in touch. Peace.
All right.